evening and welcome to All for United WFC. And I say good evening. What a lie that is. I don't know what to say. I'm sick as a pig. And not even just because of the result, just genuinely sick. But there we go. Not the greatest of days yesterday. It could have been another historical day for Manchester United, but it was just business as usual as far as Chelsea are concerned. It's another defeat to go into the record books, and I suppose just getting used to it now, aren't we? Speaking of getting used to it, I'm getting used to having some of these guys on the channel, and it's lovely to have them both here to discuss their thoughts. Both of them went all the way to Bristol, poor things, to go and have a little watch of that. Let's check in with how they are. Andrew, apart from the obvious, how you doing?
Yeah, so getting over the disappointment of yesterday. So the Chelsea puzzle still goes on for us. So I said, one day we'll beat him in the final. It just wasn't to be yesterday.
One day, yeah. I don't know how long it's going to take until that day turns up. Becca, lovely, of course, to have you back on the show as well. Thank you for joining us. How are you feeling?
Yeah, same. Disappointed, gutted. Just bored of watching us lose to Chelsea now. Hopefully we've still got one more to go and we can pull it back. But yeah, a bit disappointed.
Indeed, and that's certainly coming off in the comments already. Lots of people talking about Chelsea just being our bogey team. And yeah, 2 FA Cup finals they've beaten us in now. No, I said the other day, Sean, I really wanted to win it because we've never won it before. And if we're in the final, then we should go for it. And I am sure, positive in fact, that we will get into that particular conversation in just a moment. Tracy's taking the blame, which is admirable, but somehow, Tracy, I am not convinced that we can blame you. Right, we're gonna take it in order. I have empathy with every single one of you. I have sat here this evening. I've come in, sat myself down, watched the entire thing back, and I've only just got away from my eyes bleeding. It was that exciting. But here we are. We're going to talk it through. We're going to go through therapy together, and we'll come out of this feeling much better, hopefully. So let's kick it off. Becca, we'll let you start off as well. An interesting lineup, shall we say, on this occasion, because not just personnel changes, which we knew there would be with Hinney still away in the Asian Cup, but also a little bit of a formation tweak, it appeared. So Hannah Lundqvist, obviously at left back, with Dom in as centre back. Jade Riviere was back. And the midfield sort of looked like a 4, with Jess Park seeming to be sort of switching with Ellen at times on the right. But it looked as though Ellen and Her Majesty were the front two, with Mel and Jess generally running down the wings, and Julia and Lisa in the middle. So interesting one. Lots of people we could have had on the bench. No Leah Schuller, and that feels. I mean, you would think a top striker like Leah Schuller may potentially have had the nod over Ellen Vangerheim. Wasn't given. So, Becca, what was your thoughts? Were you happy with the lineup?
I think the bit I was happy about was the bench, because before the international break we were very thin on the ground, so it was nice to have a lot of options on the bench. But for me, I'm not sold 100% on Ellen. I think I would have preferred to see Schuller starting instead. Also having Hannah at left back, I think even maybe Millie at centre back and Dom over at left back, I would have preferred. But yeah, it was an interesting lineup. Like I say, for me, I think I would have preferred to see Schuller start instead, because she was quite strong when she came on.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly was. It's kind of one of those, isn't it, really? Of course, we got Rolfer mentioned there coming on as left back, but we will get into that when we move into the second half conversation, I suppose. But Andrew, for you, where did you stand in terms of looking at that? Because it was an interesting game, an interesting lineup rather, but just doesn't seem to have activated the way perhaps we'd have hoped it would, because we did say that potentially trying two up front might be a good idea. Was this possibly right idea, wrong time?
I'll say when the lineup came out, I was trying to work out the formation and say surprised with who was going to go in the attack as well, because you thought, well, maybe go with Leo Schuller, you know, that experience and, you know, winning trophies as well. It was like, oh, whatever. You could say he's putting Tell and Bangerheim together. Well, he was thinking, well, which one's going to be up top and which one's going to be in the number 10 role. I don't know whether that was a bit of, trying to catch Chelsea by surprise, like give them the element, well, they can't work out what we're trying to do. So, and also the midfield as well. I think we probably did miss Hinney as well a little bit. That was a given as well. So I just think she would have been one of the key players yesterday, with a defensive contribution. And he was never going to leave Zigiotti on her own. So he had to put Lisa with her as well. Because I just think Simi, look, she likes the progressive passing and get on the attack, but it might have just left her a bit exposed. So, but let's say in terms of the attack, I think it was going a bit of the element of a surprise to Chelsea, so they couldn't work it out. But I don't know whether it worked as such. So, and the defence, I expected that to be what it was. Lundqvist coming in as well, and then Jay coming back as well from her injury. So the goalkeeping defence, I expected it was just more further forward was going to be interesting. But let's say with Hinney not there as well, so we were just dealing with the hand that was dealt to us, a bit like Chelsea. They didn't a few of their key players because of the Asia Cup, so it was all having to say deal with the cards we had.
Very much so. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure it's the WSL that would be dealing with that necessarily, but they had tickets for turnstile numbers for turnstiles that didn't exist, which sounds very interesting. Turnstiles opened over half an hour late, leaving you standing in the rain. And I would argue that was probably the best part of your trip. So there we go. I would say that and run with it if I were you. Right. Let's take a look at what went on, because when we spoke about this in the preview, certainly everybody seemed to think that we would be best suited to attack them, to really go for it, to take advantage of the fact they're weak, and they were a wounded monster. No Sam Kerr, who generally is, the fly in the ointment when it comes to our games against them, and players missing. No Germa, for example. Lots of players not available for Chelsea, which I think really was probably our best opportunity. Lots of people, even the Chelsea fans, very, very worried about how this game was going to go. So after the first 10 minutes, when Chelsea had 85% of the possession and Manchester United only had 15, did you feel, Becca, that maybe, just maybe, we were in for another one of those games, because they just didn't seem to try and grab the nettle at all, did they?
I thought, I felt really good about it. I felt really positive. I think we had a shot quite early on for Terry that Hannah just managed to get down to save. And I thought, right, this is it. This is what we're going to come in and start quite strong and go for it. So I actually thought, yeah, we were going to do it. But then the possession just went to Chelsea, and it just felt like we were barely getting into their half. And then, yeah, obviously that mistake from Dom, just a disappointing goal to give away to make it kind of feel like, here we go, it's just going to be another repeat of how we play Chelsea.
I mean, it was very, very, very disappointing. There's no getting away from that. But Andrew, for you, I mean, as we talk through the first half, I think it will become more and more clear that although Chelsea had the possession, they weren't really doing much with it. But either way, that first 10 minutes, as I say, surely that was an opportunity for us to really just go for it instead of feeling them out. We know what Chelsea are like. If we could have got into a situation where we took the lead and where we put them on the ropes, surely that would have made it a bit more of an exciting game to watch, rather than just sitting back when we've lost, our midfield creativity in terms of being able to win the ball at the back and having like Sahini and Orange and Passion Fruit obviously able to do their business in the midfield. If they're not around together and we've broken that up, surely we wanted to be looking at trying to get ourselves forward more and really chasing down from the front, doing the things that we are used to doing and good at doing and winning the ball high up the pitch. We just didn't seem to do that at all.
Yeah, I say it was an open start from both teams. I say the pitch looked very slick to blown because obviously the rain just lashed down before onto it. So I thought, would both teams just try and feel each other out? But they didn't. It was like, well, we're going to attack each other and see what happens. And yeah, Chelsea were retaining more of the possession, but early on it was like we were the ones getting the shots away. So as Becca said, Turlen had a one and just a couple of minutes in, just striking from distance, but it tested Hannah Hampton. So I thought, let's see on this wet surface how she's going to cope. And luckily it was she put it beyond the corner, so we was the ones on the front foot as well. So we had a few decent chances in that first 10, 15 minutes, but Chelsea were always like, you can easily just turn it on and and say just come back the other end as well. So I just felt we're just building ourselves into the game, but it was just, if we can getting these chances, we got to take them, otherwise we were going to be punished. And ultimately we were. Later on we were.
Well, I mean, that's it, Andrew. I mean, carrying on with you, we spoke briefly about this with Becca just there, but I mean, watching it back, like the commentator literally says, and I quote, if you were hedging your bets, United looked the most likely to score. And not 6 seconds later, Dominique Janssen goes, hold my beer. And then for some reason, completely miscontrols it. Terrible pass back. Lauren James is on that like a fly on a 7-day-old Big Mac. And before you know it, there we are. Goal. And it's such a stupid goal to give away. Now, we'll get to it later when we talk about Marc Skinner's comments. I know that some people are already put in there, they thought it was a bit of bad sportsmanship. But to all intents and purposes, love the man or hate the man, that is a rubbish goal, isn't it? I mean, if you're Chelsea, you're absolutely delighted. It's a gift. It's exactly what you take and you love it and you feel great about it. But you've had the better chances. Chelsea have had the ball, like you say. They're not really doing much with it in terms of the attack. So when we hit the point of having the opportunities that we didn't make the most of, it was a real sickener to see that one go in. And it kind of changes the way that we are in the game.
Yeah, when I heard Skinner say those comments, rubbish goals, I thought, hang on. And then I was like, I get what we gave them away to them. So, but ultimately, they still had to finish and score. So, but yeah, it was our own mistakes. But if you look at the throw-in, Lundqvist, you could see Dom was like, yeah, I'll take the ball. But then she didn't quite, she looked a bit hesitant. And then you could see the other players, I think Ziggy and I think it was Nars, they were literally talking and walking up the pitch. And it was like Mayer pointing at Fallon. And I was like, hang on, you've got to be alert at all times. Lauren James was anticipating that ball going to Janssen, went, okay, I'm going to straight head on the press. And she was, as soon as the ball, left Lundqvist, Lauren James was on it on a flash, and it was just unfortunate. The first touch from Dom, and then she missed. The second touch was even worse, and it was just like Lauren James is our, biggest tormentor, and she loves scoring against us, and it's just annoying that we just gave away a goal, and it just puts us on the back foot. And then it was like we were having slightly the better start and getting the shots away, but ultimately, I think Mayer said it before the game, we've got to be equally good in both boxes, defense and attack, and we let ourselves down, very early on. So it was it was not what we needed. So, but yeah, it's one of those fine margins, and it was just a moment that caught us out.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, lots of things happening. I mean, yes, if Dom held Lauren back, it would have been a red, because she was literally the only person between her and between the ball, and Fallon Tullis-Joyce. So without question, that would have been the case. But Becca, I mean, this is very much a good point. Yes, there's plenty of time to get into the game, and spot on. There was still 70 odd minutes left to go at the point where the goal goes in. But your mindset, surely, when it's Chelsea shifts, you go 1-0 down to Brighton or 1-0 down to Liverpool, and you might feel like you've got the chance to still go on and win. But something that they mentioned again on the commentary was, that Manchester United really had a lot more belief this season. I'm intrigued, first of all, if you think that's true. Do you think United do have a lot more belief to get back into games? And did you have that belief that even at 1-0 down against Chelsea, we were still going to get back into it, considering the fact that we hadn't started strongly in terms of, quickly probably is the better word. We hadn't started quickly, and we were now 1-0 down to a mistake.
Yeah, I think we do have a lot more belief in ourselves, and coming back from being a goal down or a couple of goals down, we've had a few games now where we've got into half-time 1-0 down. The Spurs game 3-0 down, and kept coming back fighting. So there's a lot of belief in the team that going behind isn't really the end of the game. That's not it done. And we saw it with the last Chelsea game at the FA Cup where we were 1-0 down and suddenly everyone came on fighting, got the equaliser, went into extra time. So it didn't feel like that was the game done. Like I said, there was still plenty of time to go on and come back. So it was just disappointing that we couldn't. And it did feel, again, like the last kind of 10, 15 minutes, again, we were really powering up and getting a bit closer, getting some more corners, set pieces, things like that. But we just couldn't find the back of the net.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Andrew, your thoughts on the belief as well? I know that you are a seasoned Manchester United fan, and we're very used to going behind in both the men's side and the women's side, and still somehow coming out with it. But I mean, there was a stat I think there that since 2024, Chelsea had played something like 60 games where they'd been ahead and hadn't gone on to lose a single one of them. So they must have been feeling the belief of having the lead. Did you still have that belief? I mean, I don't think for 1 second that any fan with 70 minutes to go is sitting there going, well, that's over. But it's Chelsea. So is there that point where you get that, almost that feeling of inevitability starting to creep back in? Is this going to be another one of those days? Are we going to find ourselves on the wrong end of a result again, despite how we play? Or do you think you saw enough before obviously the big chance, which we'll talk about in a second, just before half time? Were you seeing enough that you thought we could get back into it? Because it only takes a minute, only takes a goal.
Yeah, so I had the belief. As we've said before, we are getting closer to Chelsea, but obviously Chelsea, find a way. So, but afterwards we did respond really well. So we still went on the attack. We didn't go within our shell and go, oh, sure, let's just sit back and just assess everything and just keep the ball, more of the ball. No, we just thought, well, we need to get back into this, and we had a few opportunities. Even Turland was getting a couple of shots away as well. So we weren't. It's almost like it didn't deter us. It was like, yeah, Chelsea 1-0 up, but look, we still got plenty of time to get back into it. So it wasn't like they scored in the very last minute of the second half, and then we had no time whatsoever. So it gave the players, the time to regroup and just get back into it. So I could see there was trying as well. And so even I've seen like with the men's where we think we're down and out, and like we've pulled it back, so anything can happen. So, but as I still had the belief in them. So always believe going into every United game we're going to win. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. Really, really tough one to take. But again, we'll throw you in with Ellen's shot. I mean, that is. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. It's a golden opportunity. Like, if you want a chance, you're in front of the defender, you're about 6 yards out, to not even get it on target. And again, it's so easy for us to say because we watch and we're like, oh yeah, that'd be well easy. It's not so easy when you're playing. I get that. I understand that. But I mean, what a time to score that would have been, potentially changing the second half. I mean, there was somebody who's just put in here. Did I save it? I didn't. But they basically said if they thought we'd come out a bit stronger in the second half and really take it to them, do you think at 1-1 we would have done that, or do you think we still would have seen the same from Marc Skinner as we saw?
I think the momentum would have definitely shifted on our favour. When you say get back into the game, or you go ahead in just on the stroke of half time, yeah, it gives you that momentum, and the team talk slightly changes. Whereas if it's 0-0 or you're a goal down, then yeah, he's got to say something different as well. And just before, yeah, Mallard who threw the cross in, well, she was getting pressured and like was saying get the cross in, which she did, and then it was just like the perfect angle for it, just the wrong side of the post. And I mean, even just before that, where she just hit the wrong side of the post, we could have been 2-0 down because Laetitia had made that last ditch tackle as well. So even though we just went back the other end and could have easily made it, 1-1. So let's say, the momentum definitely could have swung in our favour. But let's say it's a game of fine margin. It's 6 inches to the the left, it would have been in, but 6 inches to the right. So swings and roundabouts.
And 6 inches, of course, in Subway terms, is not quite a foot long, obviously, but well, you certainly get those, and they're very tasty too. Very good for lunch. Feel free to drop some sponsorship money in here, Subway. That would be lovely. We've been calling it the Sandwich Cup for God knows how long. Finally say something nice about them, and we've lost. Becca, same question for you, really. The chance for Ellen was such a good chance. Why do you think she missed it? Because people here saying she's not been played in the right position. She's not been given the encouragement almost that she needs to be able to do that. Like, what do we think about this? It's, again, then somebody just put in there about blame. It's not blame. It's just something that happened in the game that ultimately needs discussing.
Yeah, I think I agree in the sense of her being played out of position, that we're not seeing her best. But then when she is, in those places at the, right time, right place, she should be making the most of it and, almost kind of proving herself there. And that's why, for me, I'm not sold on her. I just think whether it's a confidence thing that she's, second guessing herself, doubting herself, it is a big match, trying to score in the final. Maybe she's overthinking it. But in a lot of games we've seen, I feel like she's really hesitant. She doesn't press that much. She's quite slow, but just more from holding herself back, not that she's just a slow, player. So I just feel like there's almost an element of doubting herself, whereas we would see a bit more fire in Shula or Terry or someone like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. When you're going to say that we have the worst archetype of players considering the needs of a modern football team, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't got a clue what you're saying there. I might do some Googling later. I don't know what archetype means. But if you could dumb that down I know I'm a teacher, but I really don't feel well today. So I need simple words today. I don't have the energy to be doing that. I've had to teach kids fractions and decimals. I can't think of, but that was my thinking today. Speaking of thinking, I have got to ask you your thoughts on this, because obviously we saw a lot going on in the men's game, especially through the Champions League, of people covering their mouth. And obviously just after half-time, Aggie Beever-Jones was brought on. Apparently one of our coaches, I've seen the video, but, no would be your answer to this. I haven't got a clue, because his hand was in front of his mouth, and my x-ray specs, I'm afraid, I left in school. So I'm not able to use those for my ability to see through walls and see what they're doing when I'm not in the room. So, talk to me about this. The coaching staff was whispering something to Aggie Beever-Jones. Sonia Bonpastor afterwards said that they hadn't seen anything about it. They would obviously speak to Aggie. I haven't seen anything. They don't seem to be making a big deal out of it. It just seems to be the players. But that just seems to be the fans, sorry. But having said that, why would you cover your mouth if you had anything nice to say? So it just seems a little bit silly. It's something that's gone in there. Is this something that you're bothered about, or do you file this under couldn't really care less?
I haven't seen it, to be honest. This is the first time hearing about it. So, I think I'd have to see it to see.
That was such an Arsene Wenger reply. Like, honestly,
I've been in a cart for the whole day trying to recover from several commiseration pints. So, I've not seen it.
Interesting. For you, Andrew, did you see it?
I was going to say, I'm going to be along the lines of Becca. This is the first time I've known about it. So I was just like, I say, you see it in the game all the time, even after games. You see players and they're doing that, covering their mouths, and it's like. But I think UEFA might be looking at this now and saying, well, you're going to start having to stop this. So, but I don't know. It depends what was actually said and said, but will we ever know? So I just say all players do it and coaches. So it just seems to be, I'm going to say, the modern way of the game now, where but I know it's something that probably it's being looked at now. But I don't know what to say. It's the first I've heard of it, but depends what was actually said between both of them, between our coaches and
No, absolutely. I mean, then she goes and scores. It's silly.
So
but the thing is, we don't know what was actually said, as you say. I mean, he could have been saying, "Good luck," which would certainly be something you'd want to cover your mouth for, because why would a Man United person be giving them good luck on that one? Maybe he was saying, "How much would it cost to get you down here next season?" Bit of tapping up. You never know. I don't know. So yeah. You never know. You never know. She didn't seem to make much of it. She just got herself on and wasn't really too fussed. But it's amazing, isn't it? How people just jump on these things. And it's sad, really, that when a match is finished and a team has just won their second consecutive League Cup final, really all the conversation is about a coach who's got no business really going up to the player while they're coming on and saying anything. I just think it should just be banned. Like, it blows my mind that we book people for running around and lifting shirts over their head when they're really excited because they've just scored a goal. But it's quite all right to cover your mouth. I just think why you're doing it. Like, there can only be negative connotations about why you're covering your mouth, because you don't want people to see what it is that you said. So yeah, I have to agree, bit stupid. And a little bit annoyed. Right, Emily, how are you winding me up today? How are you? As a Liverpool fan, I'm pleased United, but we didn't win. That's outrageous. That's even worse, the fact that you're pretending that we did. But as a friend of your amazing show and channel, you're amazing football fans. I'm really disappointed that United lost. I see what you're saying. You're pleased that we lost, but you feel sorry for us. So there we go. Thank you very much. Very nice of you to say so. Record attendance, Becca. You know about that because you were there. Record attendance for a Subway Cup final, well, not just a Subway Cup final, a League Cup final. United and Chelsea, we're really surprised. We do tend to have these good attendances when we have the fixture. Were you surprised? I mean, it's a long trek all the way down to Bristol. I mean, I don't know what's further if you're coming from Manchester, because I don't. I obviously come from London usually. Is it further to travel to Bristol or further to Wembley?
Further to Wembley, but it's still, a little bit out of the way to get to Bristol. But it was really good turnout. I didn't think we were the loudest we've been. I don't know if it was just where I was sitting, but I thought as a crowd we could have been a bit louder. But I think we had a good section sold out. Chelsea had a few empty seats from where we were sitting. It looked like they were missing a few. But no, it was really, really good to see the stadium so full for the final on a Sunday in Bristol. It's really, really positive.
Yeah, people saying there were a lot of empty seats, which is, I don't know, was it a sellout? I don't quite think it was. We still had seats left over for us as well, I thought, but there we go. For you, Andrew, I mean, 21,619, it's a pretty good attendance, really, for a trophy that generally gets maligned quite a lot. To get that turnout, does it just show the bit of positivity, if we can sprinkle some around here? Does it just show the star power of the two sides involved? And dare I say it, Couture's going to be in the chat in a minute having a go, but the possible blossoming rivalry, one-sided though it may be, between the two teams.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's always big crowds when it's United Chelsea, and the same this debate. I think we was having this debate about where the final should take place, because United and Chelsea, they say bring the numbers. I felt like yesterday we were outnumbering Chelsea, and yes, there was a few empty seats on the Chelsea side, but it's usually a good crowd. And we was just saying, well, you got the Women's FA Cup final, and that's at Wembley, and you see that on the men's for the league and the FA Cup there, and just thinking, why couldn't that have been at Wembley as well? But I can see the point where they want to move it around the grounds, but you just thought, well, it's United Chelsea, there's probably a lot more people that maybe wanted to go as well. So if you maybe had nothing against Ashton Gay, but you maybe could have filled a bigger stadium out as well. But yeah, so it was good, decent crowds. But as I felt like we outnumbered them. So
Indeed. Right, we made a few substitutions. Fridley Rolfo came on for Jade Riviere, which is no real surprise. It would have been quite impressive if she had managed 90 minutes, having just come back from injury. And Leah Schüller, of course, came on for Ellen Wangerheim. Happy with that? Did we think they were the right sort of changes early enough? Or were there more changes that you would have made? Obviously, Frido going to left back was different. She has done that before, so it's not a surprise, but different for us because we've not seen her do that too much for the club. Becca, were you happy, content, angry? What were you?
Yeah, no, I was happy. There were the players that I wanted to see come on. I was excited to see Rolf back playing. I think we could have benefited from her being further up rather than at left back, but yeah, maybe you could have brought a couple more of the defenders on to take Jade off and have Rolf playing further up. But I was glad to see them come on, and then Schüller obviously as well. So yeah, that's what I would have wanted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't go. I went to Norwich and it was freezing, but we won. So very happy in that respect. But I'm unwell now. So it was a lovely day yesterday, but today not so great. The result, not so much fun. But there we go. But of course you are welcomed into the group. We love all of our contributors, especially when they come in and they're so what's the word that I'm after here? Gracious is the wrong word. So I told you, words aren't so great for me at the moment. So amenable, I suppose. You know, you're coming in here, you're not just trying to gloat. There's a bit of banter, as there should be, but it's never taken too far. And we love that from our opposition fans that come in. So thank you for joining us. Andrew Wall, your thoughts on the substitution? Somebody here saying that Simi could have come on earlier. She didn't come on until the 86th minute. Were there other changes that you would have made? Were you happy? Did you think it was the right thing? What's your thoughts?
I think it was right. You know, when I heard Jade was coming off, I thought, well, yeah, it's first game back. Was she going to actually do the whole 90 minutes? And just thinking she looked pretty, you know, tired on her feet. So it was probably right to get Rolf on. I just thought, even though she was that left back, I thought, well, she gives us that attacking option as well, going further forward as well. And Schüller, I think that was the right, maybe a bit earlier for Wangerheim. I just think with Wangerheim, you know, at the moment, I think it's a bit hesitant on the ball, or sometimes when the opposition's like pressure now, I just think you need to be a bit more physical. And like Schüller came on, just give the attack a bit more bite. It was like getting on the ball and like, I'm going to try and knock these Chelsea players out of the way. So I just think maybe Schüller should have come on early. Maybe she should have even started ahead of Turlum. But to say if buts and maybes. But yeah, I'm just saying maybe you could have made a few of the other substitutions earlier, you know. But I'm saying it's just the way you just thought he was doing the right thing at that time. So trying to get us back in. But yeah, it was just one of those.
Yeah, it was a tricky one, and just to mention now, obviously there was an injury for Chelsea, and it was quite a sad one, really. In as much as you can feel sorry for an opposition player not being able to play, but in this situation, it really was, having been injured for as long as she had been. And Ashley Bjorn came on and she kicks the ball down the line, pulls some sort of calf or hamstring or something like that, and she immediately has to come off. So that was quite sad, really. I don't think we want to see people getting injured, especially just through kicking the ball when they're only just making a return. And obviously that could have just as easily been us with Jade Riviere. So definitely thoughts going out there. But it appears, Becca, and I don't know if you spotted this, but it appears that United maybe were coming up at that point with a new idea, which was that if we keep on knocking out all of their substitutes, then maybe, just maybe, we'd get more players without having to get them sent off. Because literally seconds later, Captain comes on, gets into the box, and the ball is literally walloped at our edge. He's down for a couple of minutes as well. Do you think it would have made any difference? It's a bit of a sort of a jokey question, really. But had they had 10 or 9 players, do you think maybe then we would have got past them? Because it just didn't seem to be doing what we needed to. And by this point, we'd had more shots than them. We'd had more shots on target, but we were still behind.
Well, at least it would have meant they were trying everything, literally. Yeah, it felt like we were getting a bit more physical in, you know, those kind of closing minutes, 10 minutes. It was livening up a bit, so it would have been nicer to have had a full match that was like that. But yeah, we were really trying anything, literally throwing everything at it. It was sad to see Natalie Bowen go down, you know, on for 4 minutes after coming back from injury. That's always sad to see. And there was a point where Lucy Bronze went down in the net, and as a Lioness fan, obviously, that's a little bit concerned for Lucy Bronze. But yeah, just I wish we'd had a bit more of that aggression a lot earlier on and been a bit lively. There were some players like Jess Park, even Ziggy, I think, were just quite quiet the whole match. That I think we needed to see a lot more of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Andrew, again, just points out the whole fact that we're, by this point, at 72 minutes, we've had 12 shots, they've had 11. We had 4 on target, they had 3. I mean, we said in the preview, having this game immediately after an international window wasn't the best idea for both sides, really, to be coming into and having to try and step up into it. It was the same for both sides. So it's by no stretch, please don't start coming me at the chat. I haven't got the energy for it, but I'm not saying that's the reason. But neither side really turned up. Chelsea looked like they were playing at third gear at times. We were giving the ball away a ridiculous amount in that half. We just weren't able to string passes together. And when we did, we were still making the better chances and not taking them.
Yeah, I say throughout the match we weren't quite. I say at points it seemed like we were a second or two off. And like sometimes we were chasing the shadows, because even though say like third gear, but you knew they could easily up the gears as well. And I say even though we had at the time more shots, but it was like the locations of those shots were the difference between the both teams as well. Was Chelsea had about 12 shots inside the penalty area, whereas we only had about 7. So, but we had more shots from outside the box as well. So it just sometimes we're being forced into that situation as well. But we were creating those big chances as well. So, but we're creating those attacking opportunities, but we're just not in those prime shooting positions we wanted them. So, but Chelsea just seemed to find that right moment to play that ball through and get. And so I agree with Becca, Jess Park and Ziggy weren't quite at the levels yesterday. So Jess Park didn't have the same influence. We know how good she's been this season. We've been running out of words for her to say about her. Say didn't quite have the same. Even like Malvine as well, which is like I just think for like the likes of Turland, you know, we like the ball coming into the box like crosses. That's probably not Mallard and Park's game as well. They like to drive the ball forward, so it's probably a bit counterintuitive. But yeah, just saying, it wasn't in terms of our opportunities. Chelsea made the better use of them than us.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, 5 minutes after all of that, it was rubbish. It was. You can't argue with it. I know that everybody wants to have a go at Marc Skinner, and please do feel free. That's what we're here for. But it is such a rubbish goal. If you watch it back, it starts from the goal kick. Fallon Tullis-Joyce puts it forward. We start trying to run out of our own half with it, run into trouble, lose the ball, win it back in our own area, try and do the same thing again. Roll for this time, loses the ball. And before you know it, the cross comes in. Hannah Lundqvist, who at this point has obviously moved over to right back, just bullied by Aggie Beaver-Jones, pushed out the way fairly, to be fair. And then it's a terrible header, and it just lands in front of her, and she pokes it into the back of the net. I mean, it's no Ellertone. See, I've got another show after this. I don't know how I'm going to manage. It's no Ellertone top bins. It was not one of those. It's almost another gift, but she does well in terms of her strength. I do have to give her that. But to concede, it's awful. And at that point, still got that same belief? Or have you hit a point of, well, there we go, that's the end of that? Becca.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. I think this is where I agree with Skinner, where he says Chelsea scores rubbish goals, because they're rarely these impressive, top right bins outside the box. It is those little opportunities that they find and they get, and that's what obviously makes them so successful. But it's quite uninspiring to watch back and go, oh wow, look at that. 2-0 at that point. I think it felt like that was it. It didn't feel out of the question because we have done it before, but against Chelsea, I think that was a bit where the hope was fading. But I don't think we saw that in them in what we were watching, or I didn't feel that way. I feel like we were still fighting, which was good. Whereas a couple of seasons ago, that would have been it. We would have just sat back and maybe let another 1 or 2 go in. So I think from players' point of view, they were still believing and fighting for it.
Yeah, I think, Andrew, I'd go with this. The manner of which the goal happened, it just felt like that was it. It's one of those, and feel free to jump into this as well, because a lot of people talking about the timeout that happened at 80 minutes. I mean, is there searching somewhere for positivity in this evening? But does that not show? I know it's reactive, so it's not ideal, but that's what happens in a football match. You have to react to what's happened, and you've gone 2-0 down. Wouldn't you rather he tried to sit there and do something about it and maybe try and change it about? Not that it really seemed to make a huge amount of difference in the end, but is that not the right thing to do? You've just gone 2-0 down. You're in a cup final. You've maybe got to try and tweak it a little bit, perhaps at the wrong time. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that it was great timing, but what was your thoughts?
So it probably wasn't such great after the goal. I don't know. It's almost like the horse has bolted out the stable now, and you're going to have trouble getting it back. So it was just, and say the goal we conceded, say it was of our own making. Say, as he said, rubbish goals. We was playing out the back. Rolfo, she could have played it into the channel, or she even could have played it back to, I think it was Laetitia, and then she could have then just tried and launch it as well. But it was just, even when the ball was coming in, the cross was coming in, no one closed it down. Lundqvist literally out-muscled, and then Laetitia tried to swipe her foot, trying to catch the ball, but literally, Fallon couldn't save it. So just like a bit, because when Fallon went down, I thought, well, she's definitely not injured. So this is, I know that's something that the league's looking at, all the, players going down, all goalkeepers going down. It's more of a tactical. I don't know why they just don't introduce that into the game, a tactical timeout in each half. If you're gonna, it'll stop players going down pretending like they've been injured sometimes. But Skinner had to do something, as I say, but necessarily we'll say, and the changes or the tactical tweaks he was going to make didn't have the desired effect he wanted. So, but let's say we rallied late on, but we was always, what's the phrase? Felt like we were fighting a losing battle, and Chelsea were just that little bit superior in their knowledge and winning finals. They've been doing it for years. So, but the same. They have the knowledge, whereas we've won one major final, they won several. So we need to get that knowledge and start hopefully getting to more finals, but winning them as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I say, it didn't really make too many changes in the grand scheme of how the game finished. Lauren James had a good chance. Simi Rujo came on, as we say, after 86 minutes, and the game really sort of petered out. There was a moment where they brought Fallon Tullis-Joyce up for a corner, and she might as well have stayed where she was. She had about as much chance of getting to that as I did, and I was the complete other side of the country. So it was just pretty pointless, to be fair. And this was quite exactly that, right? Quite entertaining. But I am just going to share a couple of points that have been made. So first things first, I mean, she's not back because she just couldn't make it. But honestly, that tweet that I put out about that, my God, that has rattled a few cages. Who would have thought asking a question could cause quite so much of a stir? But yes, indeed, there were lots of people. That's the whole point. That's why we ask the questions. You ask the questions, you lot give us your answers. That's what it's all about. That's why it's a fan channel. You can come on and say what you like. I don't care at all. We've had some good points made here from Couture saying, won't be surprised if United turn up now against Bayern. United-Chelsea thing just shows how good Chelsea are, which is jarring because obviously you lost to Arsenal and heavily to City. Completely agree. But these points, and there were things that we spoke about a little bit earlier. So JJ saying his comments after the match reach of bad sportsmanship. Also, I'm going to start saying something to Andy Beaver-Jones was embarrassing. Skinner's head was gone after the game. I think that's absolutely fair to say. He was not a happy bunny at all, nor should he be. Apparently, the goals were rubbish. Can't believe those words went from his brain to his mouth. They were. I can't, no matter how often we say it, they were absolutely pony. A goal is a goal at the end of the day. Calling it rubbish isn't wise, but factual. Sometimes what's factual isn't necessarily wise, I think, on that one. And again, on this one, it's a final. You don't get points for artistic impression. Of course you don't. And I need to be clear. My point when I say the goals are rubbish is absolutely not trying to say for 1 second that Chelsea didn't deserve the win. They couldn't do any of that. It's not that. It's not about any of those things. But the job of analysing a game is to look at how you've lost. And if that's the other way around, I don't care what you say, Chelsea fans. You are absolutely sitting there going, well, they were rubbish. They weren't even very good. You just got lucky. It's not like you really played well. So these things are fair. Defensively, we've handed that to you. If Dom clears that ball or passes it to Fallon, it's 0-0. And who knows how long it stays 0-0 for. If Aggie's header doesn't fall straight to her, I know it's if wishes were fishes, if this, if that, if Ellen's goes in. Of course, you don't judge matches on ifs, but those are the flashpoints and the big moments that you discuss. And I think for me, when something's not a good goal, you have to sit there and question the defence. We've given so much kudos to the defence for how well they've done this season. I think it's only fair that when something goes embarrassingly wrong in the manner that it did for a cup final, that we take that moment as well. My question to you guys, though, is this. He was angry. He was spitting feathers, I think we could say, on that one. He was absolutely fuming. Do you think he's right, first of all, to be angry? But secondly, and this is quite important for me, can we blame Marc Skinner and the way that he set up? I think, personally, I think it lands on just about everyone because as much as we had the better opportunities, I think that's the worst performance I've seen from Manchester United this season. Maybe other people will disagree, but for me, passes weren't reaching the players they should do. When we did get into the final third, the decision-making was atrocious. We just didn't seem to have anything about us in terms of really making that. And absolutely, imagine if we scored 3 crap goals. Brilliant. It would still been a crap final with 5 crap goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then we could talk about how, and if you rewind, not this obviously, because that would be pointless, but go all the way back to about 10 games into the season, I sat there and said the only goals we seem to be scoring are when other people make mistakes. I've spoken about that before, and that actually we need to be better at trying to take advantage in terms of creation rather than just winning the ball high up. But that was working. So, it's all about analysis in that respect. That's all we're saying. But yes, Becca, I'll throw that to you. Blame is the wrong word. I don't want to put that, but where did it go wrong for you?
I think it's blame not the right word, but it falls on everyone. As much as Skinner's got his tactics and his game plan, he's not the one putting his foot to the ball, aiming it, giving it the power it needs. So that does fall on everyone else as well. In terms of the crap goals thing, I mean, it's more as a fan to be on the losing side. I'd rather lose because they've scored screamers, and it's fair enough. We couldn't get to that. No one's saving that. That was completely out of our hands. I think the term of saying it's rubbish goals is it's frustrating to be on the receiving end to say, why are we not defending that? Why are we not saving that? But yeah, I think it is nice to see when players and managers do feel so strongly about the loss and are, so passionate about it. Again, I haven't seen any clips or anything, so I don't know what he was saying or doing. But I do think it is good to feel strongly about coming out of a loss. And yeah, I think it falls across the whole team, and it wasn't the team we've been watching all season and what we know they're capable of, and even how they've played Chelsea in previous games, I think could have been better.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly reasonable. We've been fact-checked here. It wasn't a header. She controlled it with I don't care if she controlled it with her right small toe. She never should have done it, but you are absolutely spot on. It was her chest. I've gone back just to go and double-check, and there we go. So I'm happy to correct the record. She chested it down, which for some reason just makes it worse for me. But there we go. Andrew, for you, where do you stand? Where did it go wrong?
I just think Skinner's frustrated and balled over after yesterday. Obviously, 3 weeks early, we'd lost the FA Cup, and you could see his reaction after that as well. And it was just the way things went yesterday, just feel like that's why he just needed a vent. And I think he was right. We were rushing chances, and as well as saying not being more clinical with it. And he said, I think he did say, I've got to do some soul searching tonight to make sure we're more ruthless in both boxes. And when he said rubbish goals, he's not. I think it's more against how we perform, not Chelsea still had to put those goals away, which they did. So it was more on the players to say he can only control so much from the sideline. So it's up to the players to go out there and do the job. He can't be thinking for every one of those players, telling them exactly what to do. They've got to have the impetus and the confidence as well to do their job as well. So I just think, his frustration was literally getting the better of him, and say in the game as well, it was just, Dominic Janssen giving the ball away. That was the error that led directly to the Chelsea's first goal. So when the cup finals are so tight in terms of statistics, it's those individual moments where it costs you. So it was a tiny, small lapse by Dom, and it meant we had to chase the game. And then, again, as we chased, we caused the other, error in leading to the second goal as well. So it was just like the game plan didn't work, and he's just, you just let it all get out there. So. And so the players will be frustrated as well, which he said they were. So just like we win, lose, and draw as a team. It's not there's no I in teams. It's all together.
No, absolutely not. It's a fair point here, I think, from Sporty. I think what's worth more looking at is whether the goals are rubbish or not, is that we played Chelsea in 3 finals and not hit the back of the net apart from Gordon's disallowed goal. Nothing's changed. I mean, personally, I would argue that we seem a lot better off than we did, when we were beaten 6-0 at the end of the season. But I get your point. We're not scoring, and that is absolutely fair enough to say. Tactically, I don't think we were necessarily good enough. But again, I'm not convinced that the players went out there and gave the best account of themselves. And I don't know if that's international break. I don't know if that's tactics. I don't know if that was just a mental block for playing against Chelsea, but it just wasn't good. He's the manager, so must be held accountable. He never takes responsibility for these. I'm trying to think of a world where managers ever do. Like, do you ever see managers really coming out and going, yeah, that was completely my fault? Generally, the ones who know they've got a lot of credit in the bank, like Alex Ferguson might have come out and said it, because who was going to sack Alex Ferguson? But I think you come out too often and go, yeah, that was my fault. You're just going to get sacked, which, maybe that's what you want. I don't know. But I don't know that he's necessarily going to come out and say that. Sometimes he says that they've done exactly what was asked of them, and he couldn't really ask for too much more, and there's just little bits they need to go away and change. So I don't know. I'm not a manager. I don't know what the media answers should be on that one. But I agree. They didn't really turn up, and I'm not convinced Chelsea did either. I just think it was a snooze fest, I think, is the answer I'm going to go with there. And I think we all would have had a better time had we just been playing our league game rather than this. So there we go. Maybe the moral of the story was to just let Arsenal win and not worry about such piddly things as the Subway Cup. I don't know. But there we go. I have thrown into the chat about 25 minutes ago the Player of the Match Award, and it's up to you guys to have chosen it. So I'm going to leave that in there for a couple more minutes But your 4 options, and again, don't come at me if you think they're wrong. Just tell me who you think should have won it. That's fine. Again, have your opinion. That's fine, but just don't beat me up today. Don't have the energy. Maya Le Tissier is the first one. Lisa Nolson is the second one. I'll put Elizabeth Turland down, and Melvine Mallard. You might think it's somebody else. If so, whack it in the chat. Feel free. If you think there was somebody better than those 4, just pop it. It's absolutely great. Lovely. I'll take it. I'll put it out there. I'll go, yep, this person thought that. So you feel free. But I will ask you your thoughts first. So Becca is should be an easy option, this one, surely, in such a riveting final. But if you had to pick one player who was maybe not head and shoulders, maybe ponytail clip above the others.
I agree with all 4 of those options, but I think Elizabeth Turland for me. I just don't think she was, lucky enough to get the back of the net, but I did see her trying more than I saw from others. She was, fighting for it a bit more. Lisa as well. I think they were my 2, but I'm going to go with Terry. I mean, it feels a bit odd saying player of the match, but I don't know if that's quite the term I'd use, but yeah, I'll go Terry.
Fair enough. That's just rage bait, and I'm here for it. Like, inside, I am giggling, and I mean that genuinely. That's the sort of thing that if I was watching this show, I would have typed. So well done. Love that. Andrew, who stood out for you?
I was going to say it would be Elizabeth Turner. Even from the get-go, she was like wanting to get on the ball and also trying to get a goal in the finals. And the majority of the shots were coming through her early on, and she was, let's say, just unfortunate. As Becca said, she couldn't get that goal to get us on our way. And so, let's say, equally the same. May did okay, and let's say stopped it from being 2-0 just before half time with that last ditch tackle. But let's say Terry stood out the most for me out of all them 4.
Apologies, Dad. Closed the poll, and then for the first time, what happens to Connor happened to me. So thankfully, there we go. There, lovely. Hadn't changed by much, but it had changed ever so slightly. So there we go. But I have the results now, which is wonderful. And I can say that with 6% was Melvine Mallard, with 20% was Lisa Nolson, with 23% of the vote was Elizabeth Turland, and with 51% of the vote was Captain Fantastic, Maya Le Tissier. So there we go. Lots of people, it's very split in terms of people's thoughts. As Phil says, would have given it to Elizabeth Turland, like Becca said there. Who did you say in the end there, Andrew? I was listening, but not at the same time. Who did you end up with?
It was Elizabeth Turland. So she was the standout for me out of all them 4.
Fair enough. Shots were world class. Do you know, there was a moment where she had a really good shot. I can't remember if it was the first half or the second half. I think it was second half. Might be the first, but it was really good. She was aiming towards the top corner, and it needed to be tipped over by Hannah Hampton. So, she does have her moments. I don't know that she really has had the opportunity to pull the trigger as much as we would have liked her to. But yeah, she was absolutely busy. I think she was running around all over the place. And yeah, first half hit the post. There we go. Very interesting in terms of that. But our winner, as I say, is Maya Le Tissier. Well done. And it's nice to see some praise as well for Lisa Nolson in the chat for how she performed. There was a question here. When does Hinny return? I believe that the Asia Cup finishes. They're in the semi-final stage, I want to say. So I think it's the 20. I feel like it's the
final.
It's when, sorry?
21st is the final.
21st. I thought it began with a 2, but then I looked at the date and I thought that feels a long time away. But yes, the 21st is the final, and obviously they will be out after that. So that is it. She'll be back that week. I think Marc Skinner blatantly said it will all depend on how she feels when she returns. They'll give her the opportunity to rest if she needs to rest. If she feels like she wants to play, she can play. all of those sorts of things. And there has been some great moments in the Asia Cup indeed. So I'm sure we will bring that up again on All for Women's Football when we get over there at 8:30. But let's finish off what we've got here. Out of the FA Cup to Chelsea, lost the Sandwich Cup to Chelsea. 2 things remain. Final question for the pair of you, and don't care what order you go in, fight amongst yourselves. But Champions League, how are we feeling about that? There's potential we'll have to play Chelsea in that again as well at some point in the tournament. Could be intriguing. Would you feel a bit better about life if we pull out Chelsea in the Champions League and before you know it, we save it for the big competitions and not this one? And equally, do you still think we've got this opportunity, or do you see a little bit of foreshadowing here? Are we going to end up playing Chelsea at the end of the season, and that is going to be us in 4th? So, tell you that. Imagine, it'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'll be able to be honest, if we're going to beat you in a final, if there's any final in the history of the world that we could beat you in, that's the one that I would like. And in the nicest possible way, I'm on a fan channel, so I can say this, but if like Millie Bright slips over taking a penalty, I'd not be upset about that. I'd not be upset about that at all. Yes, Becca, Andrew, whichever order you want to go in, are we still feeling positive for the future despite the depressing weekend we've had?
Yeah, and I think it will make it all feel so much better to get the win and it be in a Champions League final, which Chelsea have been dying to win forever. To then get that loss to United would be stunning. And it's not out of the question. You know, we have beaten them before. We are capable of it. We are getting closer to making it a regular thing. So, yeah, but also that last game of the season, if it is down to that last 3rd Champions League slot, that'll be beautiful to watch as well, to get that win. So I think it would make it all feel so much better to say, right, okay, well, you've had that, but now you lose out in Champions League. I'd still really enjoy watching that.
Absolutely. This idea does indeed make me giggle as well. I can imagine it. It would be absolutely quite something. I think it'd be amazing. Thank you, Emily. So I knew there was a reason we kept you around. Excellent. Well done. Cheered me right up. That will take me through till 8:30. I'm going to go and make my cup of coffee in a second. That's what I'm going to be thinking of. Andrew, your thoughts?
I was going to say it'd be the sweetest revenge if we beat them in the Champions League final. So just for all the hurt they've caused us over the years, as I said earlier, a bit of a puzzle at the moment, Chelsea, and we've just not put the pieces in the right places. So if we do land up in the final, hopefully we do get one over them. In terms of the league, I say, yeah, I can see it going to the final day, I say. And we've got Arsenal in around us as well, and I think they've got a game or 2 in hand, so we've got to be wary of them as well. But if we just concentrate on what we do, then hopefully we should finish inside that top 3 and we'll be going on another European tour next season.
Tend to agree. A couple of points that have just been put on here. At which point you talk about why the WS only gets 3 places, by the way. I mean, that was really more of a conversation for our sister channel. If you fancy coming over on there and throwing that out to the panel, feel free. But I mean, this is a reasonable point. If either Arsenal, we can call them that, put them in at 1, why not? If either Arsenal or Chelsea win the Champions League and they're not in the WSL top 3, then 4 English teams will be in the competition. Not quite, is that the case? Because it wasn't this year. Arsenal won it and City are nowhere to be seen. Anyone see Man City? Oh, yeah, they're at the top of the league. That's why we can't see them. They're all the way up there. But there we go. So, yeah, it will be very interesting to see how that goes. But I agree. It would be lovely to see more. And yes, by winning more and doing better in the Champions League in the manner that we are, having 3 teams in at the later stages will absolutely help our coefficients. And when that happens, you need to be, I think it's the top 8, something like that, in order to get 4 positions. So it's definitely possible. I'm pretty sure Portugal are up there in 8th spot. So if that's the case, I think we should be able to knock Portugal off, surely. We know they got Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. What's that all about? Question from Couture Criminal to end us off here. Do you hate Chelsea more than City?
That's good. At the moment, I do. Right now, I do. Yeah, I'll throw in Arsenal. They're the top spot for me.
Absolutely that. I'll give you your answer, Chelma, and I'm glad that I can give you my answer on this channel and not the other one, because on the other channel I would have to be a lot more neutral. But on this one, because eventually your arrogance will bite you on the arse. That's the answer to that question. At some point it will, because that's just how arrogance works. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful. But until then, we'll just have to sit there and keep on taking the fact that you are still the side that we just can't beat. But there we are. Well done. Congratulations to Chelsea for 2 absolute screamers. Well deserved. Superb. We all love 6-yard screamers. Excellent work. There we go. That's the end of that. My thanks to the pair of you, Andrew and Becca. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope that has taken you through your therapy session for the weekend and that you feel ready to take on the week ahead. Worry ye not. If you still feel like you need a little bit more, you can come over to All Women's Football, as I say, and we will absolutely be talking about this a little bit more. I say we, I will be much quieter. I'll have a lot less to say. She's already said it here, but the other two, I'm sure, will have a little something to say, although it was not the most exciting of games, so I can't imagine it'll be the longest conversation. We will be back next Monday again, where hopefully, maybe not, playing midweek. Oh God, we're gonna have one on Thursday probably. Could be Thursday, could be Friday, could be Saturday. I'll tell you what, we'll work it out. Get on Twitter, you'll soon know. If not, whack on the old notifications, subscribe, and then it pops up every time we're going to go live. So here we go. That's how you do it. But apart from that, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Let's bring on West Ham. I'll tell you what, if we don't beat them, then I think we can worry. But at this point, all is well. We'll survive. First ever final in the Subway Cup. It may not have gone the way we wanted it to, but United till we die. See you next time.